So in this video, I'm going to go over Web3 a bit more. I built this Web3 specifically with a capital W because it is a constructor function. Whenever we make use of Web3, we have the constructor function, and we use this to make instances of the Web3 library. We can make multiple instances inside one project. The purpose of each instance is to connect to a different Ethereum network. Realistically, you are only ever going to work with one instance of Web3 at a time. With this in mind, I'm going to pull up a diagram of how Web3 is organized. All right, I'm going to resize this for your viewing pleasure so you could see this better. All right. So at the top, we have Web3 constructor function. This is what I just required in the inbox test file. So the constructor will make an instance of Web3, and whenever that's done, we have to immediately create some configuration of the new instance created. We have to immediately set up a provider. A provider is like a communication layer between the Web3 library and some specific Ethereum network. So a provider is a communication layer. So every provider has an identical set of methods on it. So these different methods allows the Web3 library to send a request and receive a response to that request. Think of the provider as a telephone or cell phone, and Web3 and Ganache are two people trying to communicate with each other. So Web3 is always going to be communicating with some Ethereum network. So Web3 is always going to expect you to provide a provider. If not, Web3 is going to complain and say that I have no idea what network I'm supposed to be talking to. The provider is coming from the local test network, but it can be swapped out for another provider from a different network. But I'm only going to be working with one network at a time. All right, so I'm going to head back to my code editor. And so in here, I'm going to set up the local instance of Web3. And new Web3 and Ganache.provider. All right, so this line of code is what creates an instance of Web3 and tells it to connect to this local test network. In the future, when I connect to RINC-B or the main network, I'm going to replace this provider with a different one to link us up to those networks. So understanding provider is important because if not, it's going to haunt you over time, especially when you start using MetaMask. In a subsequent video, I'm going to go over Ganache and Mocha for writing tests. I'll see you there.